Good morning and welcome to P&B Sports Show. I'm Arako Tom, and today we are heading to England to unpack two major Premier League fixtures from the weekend: Newcastle United versus Manchester City, and the North London Derby, Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspur. Joining me virtually in the studio is our very own renowned analyst, Ero John from Benin City. Ero, great to have you. We'll start with Newcastle's big result and then move to Arsenal's Derby statement. Let's get right into it. So last week we had a conversation, doing a pre-match analysis, and you said something. You said you expect Manchester City to win this match against Newcastle United, but you actually stated that it was going to be a tough one. I don't think we expected this type of result and for Newcastle to come out playing the way they played it, because some people are saying that it seems like Pep Guardiola decided to focus more or play psychology with Arsenal and took his eyes off Newcastle, and he lost the plot. What is your take on that?
Good morning, Tom. It's a pleasure to be with you again. Thank you for having me. Like you said, it was a tough one. I didn't see that coming. But that's the beauty of the game, football. That's the beauty of the sport. I sincerely did not see that.
Sorry, Ero, please, can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, I said I sincerely, personally did not see that coming. But then that's the beauty of the game. That's the beauty of the sport, football. That was really a shocking one, the Newcastle versus Manchester City game. I don't think Pep Guardiola ignored Newcastle and decided to put on his psychology on Arsenal. I think that Eddie Howe's Newcastle, they got the job done with a better approach to the game. Like I predicted that Manchester City were going to do more of the possession and they were going to do more of the playing. Newcastle were only going to try and soak in pressure and thereabouts play on the counter. But then again, I thought that Manchester City would be able to convert their chances. I thought that they would be very deadly, being that, like I said the last time I was here, they have some very good attackers who are in form at the moment. The likes of Haaland, the likes of Dodoku, they have very good midfield options, the likes of Ryan Cherky. But the opposite was the case. We saw what happened. 3 goals in the space of 9 minutes. Newcastle scoring, Manchester City equalizing, and then Newcastle going on to score a controversial winning goal. It only goes to prove the statement that in football anything can happen. Newcastle they were better. What I think they did, what I think Eddie Howe's team did, I'll give it more to individual brilliance. And if you know Newcastle before now, we'll all agree that Newcastle is a very good side defensively. They are very good defensively. They know they can play compact, and that's what we saw them do against Manchester City on Saturday. So kudos to them.
Okay, kudos to them. But there's something that we should take note of. You spoke about defense, and it seems like on both sides, the keepers on the post, they did excellently well. But it seems like Donnarumma was more tested. Doesn't this say a lot about Manchester City's defense?
Yes, to an extent. It says a lot. Yes, it is something that Pep Guardiola should look into, because since Donnarumma joined Manchester City, he has had to save them a couple of times. He has had to save them a whole couple of times. His prowess and goalkeeping abilities have helped them in not just against Newcastle, although they lost, but in so many other games. So it is something, yes, I agree with you, Pep Guardiola needs to look into it. I mean, yes, it is more than just having a good goalkeeper between the sticks, but when your defense is continually penetrated, infiltrated, and every now and then your keeper has to do something sublime, something spectacular to get you out of ugly situations, then it's a call for concern. It shows that there is a problem at the back. There is a huge problem at the back. having to get easy access to your defense line and to your goalkeeper. It's really something that we have seen teams where they play a whole 90 minutes and their goalkeeper does not even face up to 5-10 shots on goal, not just on target, whether off or on target, on goal. So Manchester City needs to really look into their defensive line. They need to work on it. They need to get their heads up. They need to, because they bought a couple of players, and so I really can't tell where the problem is coming from in that defense line. But I sincerely think Pep Guardiola needs to pay attention to it, because you will not always expect Donnarumma to give you a 10/10 performance in every game. What happens on days when Donnarumma is off? What happens on days when Donnarumma is not giving his A game? What do you now make out of that? So it is something that Guardiola should look into, and I trust Pep to do justice to that.
Okay, so right now, moving from defense to offense, moving from defense to the attack, we saw Haaland had a chance to put the ball at the back of the net, but it seemed like he could not do that. What is your take? Do you think Haaland played his best football over the weekend?
If Haaland played his best football over the weekend, the Erling Haaland that we know would have scored a goal or two or even a hat-trick. So I cannot say Haaland played his best football. If he played his best football, we would have seen Haaland score 2 goals, 3 goals. We have seen him do these things. Haaland was not on his A game against Newcastle. So, and then missing golden opportunities is something that can happen to anybody. It's something that can happen to any striker, no matter how good you are, no matter how informed you are. We saw Victor Osimhen do something similar for Nigeria when we played against Gabon in the World Cup qualifying African playoff. It is something that can happen to anybody. This is football. Anything can happen. Anybody can miss glorious opportunities. Just the same way we have seen the same Haaland score some almost impossible chances. We have seen him convert chances that ordinarily you find it difficult to convert. We have seen him score from very incredible angles. So missing such opportunities is not something that I would judge him by. It happens to anybody and everybody at some point in time, even the best of
them. It seems like there was a savior for Newcastle United, and that savior was Harvey Barnes, a player that usually starts off the bench. All of a sudden, in this match, he came in and he delivered. He had a miss the first time. The second time, he was like, I have to make sure that this ball passes through Donnarumma, and he did that this second time again. That was a player that almost had a hat trick over the weekend. What's your opinion on Harvey Barnes?
Okay, Harvey Barnes, I'll give him kudos. That was my friend will always say that day was his Christmas day. Yes, so kudos to him for that. Personally, I've been following Harvey Barnes from his days at Everton. Harvey Barnes is one thing I like Harvey Barnes for. Personally, I don't particularly fancy him as a winger, no. But there's something I notice about him that I like, and that is his shooting ability. Right from his days at Everton. He has incredible shooting. He can shoot from anywhere. As a matter of fact, he was so predictable while he was at Everton that when he gets the ball on the left wing, all he does is to cut and shoot. And mind you, many of those chances went in because, like I said, he had incredible shooting prowess. So Harvey Barnes played a good one. Like you said, usually he's not a starter for Newcastle, but the coach had his reasons for starting him. I guess maybe he performed very well during training to earn his starting spot, and it's paid off. He repaid the coach's trust in him by scoring the match for Newcastle. Like I said, he would have this. Like I said, that's what I really admire about him. His shooting ability. He has got that in him. I don't expect people to agree, but I think Harvey Barnes is one of the best shooters in the Premier League. So that's paid off for him. Kudos to him, and I hope and sincerely pray that he goes on it.
Okay. But talking about him, do you think that he's an icebreaker for Newcastle United and moving forward that he should continue starting? Also, when it comes to when it came to the defense and offense of Manchester City, do you think that that they should have pressed more, or do you think that they did not press enough? I think that's the right question to ask.
Okay, first of all, let me answer the first question. Do I think Harvey Barnes should start more for Newcastle United? No player has a guaranteed spot in any team. It is your performance that gives you that spot. We've seen the likes of Liverpool, for example. People are complaining that Mohamed Salah should be put on the bench. Mohamed Salah should be put on the bench. I'm just giving reference. I know we're not talking about Liverpool.
Yes.
But all these people, there's no way. There's really no way, because if you check who do you want to replace him with? Federico Chiesa. He's not a consistent player. Salah will still better. Salah has the ability to put the ball at the back of the net at any point in the game. So for Harvey Barnes, should he continue to start? I think that will largely depend on his playing. If he's able to impress the coach and contribute more to the team, then yes, he should get a starting spot. I don't think he will be on the bench when you are very good. When the coach see that you're in top form, you're in top gear, I don't think you'll be on the bench. Except maybe the coach has personal issues with you, maybe due to character, what you do in the dressing room and off the field. Except that if you are very good, if your contributions to the team is very evident, no coach will put you on the bench ordinarily. Even the fans they will rage a bit against the coach. So that is for Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes, I pray he continues to have good games, and then you never can tell. He will just seal up the starting spot on the left wing. Then secondly, do I think Manchester City pressed enough? Or I think they did what they wanted to do. I just think that Newcastle, there were some individual brilliance from some of their players that helped them to edge that game. I just mentioned some names, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Bruno Guimaraes, the likes of Harvey Barnes. They played in with their blood and sweat, and that was what got the result for them. Manchester City could have done better. Yes, there's always room for improvement in football. Even if you win, they would have pressed better. But I think how he read their game, he was able to read Pep Guardiola's game going into that match, and he was able to exploit the loopholes. Because believe you me, every football tactic has a loophole. Yeah.
Okay, so take notes. Take notes, please. I remember on Friday you said you were expecting this match to end 3-1. So if we were to put a bet on it, I'm sure that you will be owing me some cool naira at the moment. But let's move past that. Now we're going to be moving to the other match that broke people's screen, that made people shout, and that made people wonder, is this the same Arsenal that we've been watching all through? And could Eze be the icebreaker for Arsenal? Now we're going to be moving to Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. Ero, this was a fiery match. This was a match that a lot of people expected Arsenal to win, but did not expect Arsenal to win the way that they won. Tell me, I think that this is something different. I think this season might just be different for Arsenal. Do you have the same opinion before we head into the talks about the match?
Yes. Sentiment aside, rivalry aside, I think this season is just different for the Arsenal. I think their decision to invest in squad depth is paying off gradually. Yes, the games that we have all expected them to lose, they won virtually all of them. I'm waiting for two particular games to give my conclusion on Arsenal. They will be playing one of them this weekend, this midweek, the Champions League derby. It didn't look like it looked so one-sided. In the first half of the game, Tottenham did not register a shot. Personally think that Eberechi is the missing piece in Arsenal's puzzle. The day Arsenal signed him, I screamed. sincerely, because I know how good Eze is. I knew he was going to blend into Arsenal's playing pattern. I knew he was going to offer so much to Arsenal. So I was sincerely scared. I was not so happy that he moved to Arsenal. You saw what he did to Tottenham yesterday?
Yeah.
And that says it to me. Yeah.
Okay. So still talking about Eberechi Eze, you mentioned that he's one player that he's the missing piece. Do you think that in the midfield that this is a man that Arsenal should use more often moving forward? And do you think that this man is a match winner, will be a constant match winner for Arsenal?
There is no attacking midfielder in the Arsenal midfield that is better than Eberechi Eze. Quote me anywhere, including Martin Odegaard. It's not better than Eze. We are talking about Crystal Palace's best player last season. We are talking about somebody that has been consistently good for Crystal Palace. Even when the likes of Ulisse was still in that team, when there was still, you will still mention Eberechi Eze. Even when the likes of Wilfred Zaha was still in Crystal Palace, somehow you still get Eze into the discussion. So we're not just talking about somebody that was just there. We're talking about somebody that was on the top of his game for Crystal Palace. Somebody that carried a team that lost Wilfred Zaha, a team that lost Christian Benteke, a team that lost what's his name, Ulisse. And then when you have players like these, 2 or 3 of them in your team, it gives you this extra boost, this extra advantage over some other teams. Because I mean, in games where you have to probably play a double pivot, you can play him ahead of them. In games where you need somebody to do a masterclass from the wing, you can play him from the wing. You can play him in a free role. You see how Arsenal are playing without Odegaard. It was not the same for them last season. Last season, when Martin Odegaard got injured, when Saka got injured, it was very clear that they've lost their best set of players. But this season, for some games now, they've been playing without Gyökeres. It's not even looking like somebody is missing from Arsenal. Kudos to Eberechi Eze. I am very certain he will succeed. I only pray he is able to win trophies at Arsenal.
Okay, so moving on to the tactical side, we saw a 4-3-3 formation. Then we saw that Tottenham Hotspurs, they also started playing defense earlier on instead of pressing and pushing, because that's what we expect
before approaching games. How can you be playing a derby against Arsenal and you are playing defensive? It does not work. It really does not work. I don't know what these coaches what they think. Before you declare tactics or formations, you look at the caliber of players that you have. You look at the caliber of players that you are fielding for such roles. It can't work. And then when something is not working, you change it. You don't stick to it. You don't die there. You change it. This has always been a problem for many of our coaches. I think approaching that game in such manner was a wrong one, because you're playing against an Arsenal team that, if they cannot open play, they'll penetrate from set pieces, they'll penetrate from long throws. So why are you wasting your time? What I feel every team should do when you're playing against the Arsenal, come out and try to score. Come out and try to score.
Okay, so talking about we do not need apologies, but we want to know, if you are the coach of Tottenham Hotspurs, let's say you are the coach of Tottenham Hotspurs, what are you going to change in the team to play your next?
You have Richarlison and the likes. You play them on the attacking spot. I would rather play a balanced and possession-based game. I may not play a high press because it takes time to perfect such tactics. But I'll play a balanced and possession-based game. We get the ball, we knock the ball, we transit with the ball, and then we try to put the ball at the back of the net. You have a good goal scorer in Richarlison. You have a very formidable winger in Mohamed Kudus. So why are you being defensive? I won't play defensive. I'll play balance this game. Knock the ball. Try to get your opponents to come out. And then, I remember that if you even throw a good pass from the mid-scoring abilities, you can assist, you can create chances. So what are you doing? So, if I were to be the coach of Tottenham, first off, I'll play a 4-man defense and not a 3-man defense. Because the moment you play a game with a 3-man defense, automatically you're already being defensive, because it's a 5-attack 5 defense when they are transiting. And then I'll play a double midfield like Martian, a holding midfielder, and a box-to-box midfielder. I'll play my and play a lone striker. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So moving forward, how big is this result for Arsenal, and how does this result also affect a team like Tottenham Hotspurs?
Okay, it's a very huge result for Arsenal because deep down, so many people did not think that Arsenal were going to win that game. Considering Tottenham's performance against Manchester United, even if they bottled the lead again. But then again, it's a morale booster for Arsenal. It's further a testament that we can do these great things again when against big rivals. Imagine defeating Tottenham 4-1 in London derby, in North London derby. It's really a good testament for them. Not just going into this week, because this week they are big teams, especially teams that are beginning to build expectations. There's pressure that comes to them. The way Tottenham is now, they obviously want to qualify again for the Champions League. They want to play in Europe. So if you continue like this, the chances of taking them to Europe are slim. I mean, they sacked somebody to bring you in. Are getting a poor run of results. Doesn't tell well. So I think Thomas Frank and his team needs to go back to the drawing board so that he doesn't get slain by the hammer again.
Okay. So right now we are going to be moving to our next segment. So Ero, please still stay with us. We're going to move to our Athlete of the Day segment, and our Athlete of the Day is Arsenal's Eberechi Eze. Eze was the star of the Premier League this weekend, producing a performance that has sent Arsenal fans into a frenzy in the North London derby. He delivered a spectacular hat-trick, leading Arsenal to a commanding 4-1 victory over Tottenham Hotspurs. It wasn't just the goal, it was the manner in which he scored them. Eze showcased elite footwork, incredible balance, and the kind of calm finishing usually reserved for world-class forwards. His timing attack, the Arsenal frontline was fluid, intelligent, and decisive.
That when he was at Leeds, he was the talisman, he was the main man. See him at Barcelona today, he's excelling very well. He's doing so well. Do you know why? Because he was able to play for a lesser team that he had a higher burden. Because I mean, when you want to play against Leeds, everybody's looking at Rafinha. At a time in Crystal Palace, when you want to play against Crystal Palace, your first point of call is Eze. If Eze is going to play, you're already thinking there's going to be an upset. And so you are coming to a team where there are a few other players that are very good, there are a few other stars. It even gives you a better edge to settle and to bring in your A game. I was very shocked that Grealish could not really excel so well at Manchester City. But Eze is exceptional. Eze is a good player. Like I said before, I like such players. That's the reason I like Pogba. Players that offer a coach numerous options. They are versatile. Okay, today I can play you in the midfield, tomorrow I can play you in the wing, next tomorrow I can play you in the attack. Such players